You know what? Let's go to the movie Django. And speaking of white guys who get hit points for being around the brothers, Quentin Tarantino is a perfect example of that. But in the movie Django that just came out, there was a character named Sheba. Sheba was Calvin Candy's Negro bedwench, and it was a very attractive sister in the movie who really had a couple of lines. She didn't really speak that much, but she was around one of the main villains, who was Calvin Candy. She was well dressed. She was sitting around in pearls. Her hair was done. She wasn't treated like the other slaves. She had an elevation position. She sat around drinking champagne, and there was one scene where Django came into the house, and they were watching a fight, and Django went to the bar and stood next to her, and she looked at him with a look of disgust and turned around, grabbed her champagne bottle, and walked away in disgust. And women like that are in corporate America today. And that woman who was on that clip of me doing the news show, that's the same thing. A lot of the Negro bedwenches, when they see a black male, they're disgusted by a black male who has equal leverage, or who's speaking equally with the white power structure, because they pride themselves, the Negro bedwench, on keeping the brothers out of that. They pride themselves on bragging and throwing up in brothers' faces that they're a part of this establishment and you're not. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, look, I got this. I got my degree. I'm a supervisor at IBM. I'm this. I'm that. And I'm better than you. They pride themselves on that. So when you see a brother who goes past their asses, goes over their heads, and starts having equal billing or equal conversations with their bosses, that's a problem. And they try to sabotage that, and that's exactly what happened. And that mentality is prevalent out there. There's a lot of black folks out here who are house Negroes mentally, and they don't want to ruffle the feathers. They don't want to rock the boat. They don't want stuff like this coming out there because they think that it's going to make whites uncomfortable, and then when whites get uncomfortable, whites will start pushing away all the black people, and they feel like they're going to lose their benefits. So there are black people who don't like this information.
Gee, ladies and gentlemen, we're live with Tariq Nasheed, and he is talking about his film, Hidden Colors 1 and 2. Go out and get it. They both are. You can get them at Amazon, right?
Yes, indeed. Amazon or hiddencolorsfilm.com. Yes, indeed.
Good deal, man. And one thing you really touched on that, and I don't know if you did this on purpose, but you know we as black folks, especially black men, we cannot challenge or talk about white Jesus without having literally the other half of us, our black females, shut down.
Yeah.
How did you broach this? Yeah, how did you broach this? Because you hit it where I hit it, and I kept saying, I wonder why people keep saying they want me to do something with this guy. And then when I watched the movie, I said, the hell, we're saying the same crap, and it needs to be more people saying this. It needs to be more people saying, look, we were given, and this was always my thought about it. I said we were given a religion by oppressor. What makes no sense is that we follow it after the oppression or after the so-called Emancipation Proclamation, after all of that crap. We still follow it and we cling to it like it's the only thing we have left, which is weird because you wouldn't tell a woman who was raped by a man, held captive for 20 years, then he finally released her, and if she kept repeating everything he said for the 20 years, you tell her, look, this guy didn't mean you any good. Everything he taught you was to keep you docile. Why is it that we don't teach black people that same thing?
Well, the thing, again, black people are scared. A lot of black people in this country are scared, especially a lot of the women. And rightfully so. I can understand why, because, you know, what happened, especially during slavery, was very brutal. And black men were put in a position where they couldn't really protect a lot of the sisters. So I can understand some of that fear. But sometimes you got to let some of those old cultural fears, because now it's a cultural fear. You hold on to a lie so long, you're afraid to let it go. And we got to understand, we can let the lie go now. We can take down the white Jesus who ain't even real. The white Jesus it's a model. It was Leonardo da Vinci's. It was a model. It was one of his relatives. This is historic document. This is, this is not even up for debate. Jesus didn't look like that. And the people back then, during the time of Jesus, didn't really look like that because there was no religion in Europe. Europe never produced a religion, let alone Christianity. I mean, these are facts. So you can pretend to want to argue with that, but I just deal with facts. I don't do no interpretations or nothing. Hidden Colors just brought straight up and down verifiable facts, and people can choose to deal with that or not deal with it. But what's funny I always say this. If 10 white scholars said the same information in Hidden Colors, we would have an Oscar right now. Black people all around the world would be like, oh, wow, did you hear that? That's so deep, you know?
Byron Scott made a statement. I know if you know Byron Scott. Byron Scott, the ex-Los Angeles Laker. He was also a coach. He coached in a couple places. He coached in New Orleans. He coached the New Jersey Nets. He made a statement that was very profound, and it's basically about what you just said. He said, the black players are not comfortable listening to a black coach. And I was shocked when he said that. He said, I say the same thing that a Phil Jackson says, but they will rail against it, and they don't feel. And then you look at what Kobe did to the one coach he's ever done something like that to, Mike Brown. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed how difficult it is for us to talk to us, especially as black men? We're still being emasculated amongst our own people.
Exactly, because the thing is, we do that because we know that other black people are not protected. You understand? We know that they don't have protection. Black folks know you can't pull that stuff on white folks because white people are protected. You know, the law will come down on you. I call it the color purple thing. Just like how a lot of sisters will talk sassy to the brothers. They love that a lot. And I'm not talking about all. I'm not trying to throw all sisters under the bus, but you got a lot of sisters who like to talk real sassy and embarrass brothers in public and just talk real greasy. And whites are entertained by that. Whites will let that go on. They laugh and giggle. But if one of those women starts talking greasy and slick like that to a white person, things go down, things change. Just like in The Color Purple, in Oprah's character, she was cussing out all the dudes. She was talking shit. You told Harpo to beat me. She's beating up Harpo. She's talking greasy. And in the movie, she said something slick to a white dude, and he pistol whipped her ass and put her in jail for like 10 years or something. So a lot of sisters, they do understand that fear. You can't pull that stuff with other people, so you're going to show them respect by default. So we pull a lot of stuff on each other because we have the option to do so, and we know that they're not protected. And we shouldn't need them to be protected. We should just not disrespect each other out of respect for each other. I said, okay, if I do that, I don't want people to start looking at me as the new black leader. I don't want that at all. I tell people all the time, I'm not trying to be nobody's leader because y'all motherfuckers let me get shot. I'm cool. Brother, y'all will let brothers get shot at the drop of a hat. The minute I say, hey, I'm the new leader, it's like, how? And,
I'm with you on that. When they was asking me to do it, I was like, look, I am none of that. Seriously, I am not trying to be that. I don't want to be that because at the end of the day, that's a job that don't end well and it don't have good benefits and the retirement plan sucks.
Exactly. So I said, look, let me do this instead of doing a film by myself. Let me get the people that I love and respect, historians that I've studied and people that I like, and that's how Hidden Colors, the first one, came about, and the second one. So I got a lot of people that I looked up to. I outlined the movie. I outlined what we were going to talk about. I wanted to talk about history that has been hidden from us, literally. And fortunately, when it came out, it just took off, man. People gravitated towards it. And it's like the number one history documentary film right now, the number one series right now. You go to Amazon, it's like killing all of those other documentaries. So I'm very proud of that film.